Well, good morning and welcome to CityLine. It is great to be in your home. We are live every Thursday morning, and this morning is October 3rd. We have a great hour ahead of us. Later on the hour, we'll be talking with the Tacoma Concert Band about their upcoming concert that is themed and called Tie the Knot, and you don't want to miss that. And then we'll be talking with Sarah and Raphael. They are here to talk about the Latinx Festival coming up. And then Tacoma Studio Tour is happening. It is, after all, it is Art Month here in Tacoma. And so we have 3 artists that you'll get to know and also peek into their studios and see what they have in store for you during that tour. And then with me right now is a gentleman that I have loved to talk with when he's in the studio. I don't get to see him very much because he's out there saving lives. And of course, I'm talking about Russ Ivy. You are a Tacoma firefighter and a CPR instructor. Welcome back.
Thank you.
You have been here before when we've talked about CPR Sunday, which has been now so wildly popular. It's CPR Sunday and Saturday.
Correct.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you.
Boy, talk about getting out the word and also in a way that people understand that this skill is just as important as swimming, maybe learning how to drive a car, saving someone's life or knowing what to do. I think probably tops those other 2 right there.
I would hope so.
I want to find out, first off, your background. We were talking before the cameras went on, and sometimes I wish that we could get that on camera because those are some of the best conversations that we have. What drew you all those years, because you've got 26 years in the bucket, as we say, being a Tacoma firefighter. What drew you to that?
Actually, a friend who wanted to be a firefighter said that they were accepting applications. And at the time, I was working another job, and I knew I wouldn't be in that job forever. But I also wanted a job that was challenging, that I had to serve people and be physically fit. And this fit the bill.
Boom, there it was. So, and now 26 years later, you mentioned to me in the green room that you're going to retire soon.
That's my plan.
What will we do without you?
I'm sure there'll be one more person to take my place.
Well, you know what? I'll share with our audience what I said to him was, you can't retire until it's CPR week. Okay, so then we're done with you. You get to go.
Okay.
All right, that's good. So let's talk about what is CPR Saturday and Sunday. Thank goodness, for people who have not heard of this program.
Okay, so we are doing a mass program where we're actually teaching hundreds and hundreds of people how to do CPR in a quick setting. So there's a lecture, and then there's a practical part of the hands-on using the mannequins to learn to do CPR.
Wow. Quite fabulous. How big are the classes? I mean, especially now that we have 2 opportunities.
So we do them in groups. So there's a lecture part, and there's usually about 200 to 250 people in a lecture. And then after the lecture, they will go to instructors. And we have 50 or so instructors in the gymnasium, and they will go in groups of probably 5 or 6 and practice in those small groups on the mannequins and get their card afterwards.
Wow. So we're talking maybe 3 or 4 hours?
Yes. So yes, about a 3 hour. So about
Okay.
an hour, 2 hour and a half lecture, 2 hour lecture, and then about an hour to get the practical part done.
During that lecture, is there a section for Q&A? Because you don't want me in the audience.
Well, we try and limit it so we don't run over time, but we do have questions. But if they have questions after the lecture, they can also talk to the instructors that they're going to be one-on-one with. Okay. And they can fill in the gaps if they miss something or if they have other further questions.
So this is a question that I know that I can answer, but you and I were talking before the cameras went on again, and I was telling you about some of my feelings about CPR. So I'm going to ask the question, why learn CPR?
Because the time that it takes for us to actually get on scene is probably 4 to 6 minutes from the time the call comes in, and the rate of decline in chances of survival goes pretty fast. So to get it started before we can get on scene, we'll give them extra time. That can increase their chance of survival by almost 40%.
Wow, 40%.
Yes.
And that is just even just starting it.
Starting CPR before we get on scene, yes.
Okay. So how often should somebody take a class?
Most people it's recommended every 2 years.
Okay.
So the certificate, the CPR card that they'll get from us is good for 2 years. And that's a good time to refresh. So about every 2 years.
Okay. So let's go back to that CPR Saturday and Sunday. Sitting here talking with you, you are so warm and so gracious that I would want to take a class from you again and again because you make it sound so easy. Do you have repeat offenders?
Yes, a lot of people do because it's not only something that we want them to do, but sometimes they're required for their jobs. So people that work for the Ys or work in the school system or things like that, they're required to have that certification in order to keep their job.
Wow. So how often do you use CPR in your job?
It varies. Probably it comes in waves, and actually not this last shift, but shift before last. Last shift we did CPR.
Okay.
That was one of our first calls in the morning, and before that I probably hadn't done CPR for 2 months. Maybe.
Wow.
So it goes up and down.
Okay, so how do you keep your skills fresh?
So we have an OTEP program, and we go in and we go over our protocols and we practice as well, and then it's just doing.
Just do it, as we say quite often. So in addition to CPR, I mean, I've taken CPR classes, and I remember my first CPR class was when the AEDs first came out.
Yes.
And let's talk about, first off, what is an AED for people who are not familiar with that?
It's an automatic external defibrillator. So a defibrillator is the electrical part that shocks the heart. So our heart is a mechanical pump that needs electrical activity to work correctly. And a lot of times the electrical activity will stop before the mechanical pump stops. So if we can get the electrical activity back in line, we can get the pump to work again.
Okay. So when I take a CPR class, am I able to work on an AED, or is that something separate?
Yes. Nope, that's part of the program. So
Excellent.
there will be an AED there, and it will go over the workings of the AED as well as how to actually do
that, and what to do first.
Exactly.
You know, I've said to you that my biggest fear is I have to use my skills and I will forget. But the one thing I do remember is the whole, you call 911.
Yes.
That's the first thing I think. Is that still the first thing you have to do?
Just about, yes.
Okay, well, there's something more. Tell me what it is.
Well, you want to make sure that you need to do CPR first. So if the person is unresponsive,
right, down there listening.
Yeah, then we want to call for help and send some for help and get the AD. So we need to find out if they're unresponsive.
That would be good, not just taking a nap.
Right.
And they wake up and say, get off me.
Exactly.
Exactly. I've watched the AEDs and actually be in use. They are very simple.
Very simple.
I mean, there's a voice that talks you through everything.
Correct.
I wish that they had something like that for CPR sometimes.
Actually, there are apps that you can get on your phone that will do that.
But we don't recommend trying to get on your phone while you've already determined that someone's not conscious.
Sure. And you know, we're in a society right now where we are multitasking. So having your phone available to turn it on and talk to whoever's in your phone. So Siri and Cortana and Echo and all those people that live in your phone, tell them to call 911, and you can tap the app and have it start going. There's so many avenues that we're exploring now.
Wow.
To assist us, but you still need to know how to do.
Right.
But it can give you some instruction, I'm sure, because there are a lot of times that our dispatchers will tell people over the phone to do CPR and talk them through it.
Put them on speakerphone and talk them through it.
Put them on speakerphone and talk them through it while we're still on the way.
That's a piece of my scenario I never put in, was to have a speakerphone,
Right.
or to turn to somebody and say, somebody get an app up while
Right.
we're listening,
Sure.
turning them on their side, doing what we need to do. So how do we register for this class?
You can go online, cprsunday.net, I believe is our site, and then we're on Facebook, CPR Sunday as well. And you can go and register for this class and classes that we provide throughout the year as well.
In terms of like Heimlich and other things that could save people's lives.
Correct.
I love that. So then I get my CPR card.
Yes.
And it's good for 2 years.
2 years.
So when I perform CPR on someone and you show up, I don't need to show you my card because it's quite obvious I've done my job.
Correct. There are no CPR police that will be asking for credentials and critiquing your efforts. So
You're already a hero because you tried, isn't that right?
Correct.
Yeah. Any costs for these classes?
There is no cost.
Wow.
So sign up, come on out, and learn CPR.
That's impressive. Who do we need to thank?
There's so many people, but Craig Hanna is our program director that coordinates all this, and we have so many groups that are allowing us to use their facilities, the Eastside Community Center, Foss High School, things like that. And then, of course, we have a lot of sponsors that we get equipment from and supplies that we can do this. So there's a ton of people that we have that we thank all the time.
I love that. So anybody who's touched this program, we want to thank them.
Yes.
And my last quick question for you is, if somebody is, like I am, a bit hesitant about jumping in there, what should they know?
They should know that you can only help. If they're unresponsive and they're not breathing, you can't make them do anything that they're not already doing.
Exactly.
So
it can only help.
it can only help.
There we go.
It can only make them
Thank
better.
you so much for your 26 years of devotion and grace to saving lives. And you don't get to retire until I see CPR a week on my couch. Deal?
No.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to have you back next year. How's that?
Well, we'll see.
Okay.
We'll see if I'm still around.
Okay. Well, I'm going to track you down. Thank you
Okay.
so much for being here today.
You're welcome.
All right. When we come back after just a little bit of musical chairs, we will have in the house a Tacoma studio tour. You don't want to miss that. We'll be right back.